So good morning, students. In the previous classes, we started and we completed total energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit in atoms chapter, and also up to now we have completed various models. So Thomson model, Rutherford model, and also Bohr's model. In all these models, we discussed what are the postulates, and also in a Thomson and Rutherford model, we discussed what are the drawbacks, and also alpha particle scattering experiment. What are the observations? What are the conclusions from Bohr's model? What are the postulates and various derivations? Radius of nth stationary orbit, velocity of electron, angular speed of electron, and also time period, frequency, and total energy we derived up to in the previous class. In the previous class, last we have given total energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit. Last we have given one formula, E nth is equal to minus 13.6 into Z square by N square. So this formula we have given in the previous class, last. So it is in a electron volt. And also we mentioned what is the significance of the negative sign also. Last we have given one statement also. So what does the negative sign represents? Electron is always bound to the system. The negative sign always indicates electron is bound to the system or bounded to the nucleus. So something energy has to be supplied to remove the electron from the orbit. That concept we discussed. And here, because of the negative sign, what happens as the principal quantum number increases to the energy. For example, if a negative sign not there, E and N square both are inversely proportional. But because of the negative sign, as the N value increases, automatically the energy of electron also increases because of the negative sign. And I'll check in various orbits. For example, if I want to calculate what is energy of electron in the first orbit of a hydrogen atom, I'll take for a hydrogen atom. For hydrogen atom, atomic number Z is equal to 1. So that energy of electron in the nth orbit is equal to minus 13.6 by N square electron volt we can write. No need to write Z. For example, I want to calculate total energy of electron in the first orbit of hydrogen atom. So in this formula put N is equal to 1. So that E1 is equal to minus 13.6 by, we should write only N place 1. That is equal to minus 13.6 electron volt. For example, in a second orbit of hydrogen atom, what is energy of electron? We can understand as N value increases how the energy value changes. Second orbit means minus 13.6 by, we should write a 2 square, means 4. Minus 13.6 by 4, we have divided, that is called a minus 3.4 electron volt. And for third orbit of hydrogen atom, I will put N is equal to 3. E3 is equal to minus 13.6 by 3 square, which is equal to minus 1.51 electron volt. And then a fourth orbit of hydrogen atom, E4 is equal to minus 13.6 by 4 square, that is 16, is equal to minus 0.85 electron volt. Still, if you want, sorry, it is a fourth orbit. You should write N equal to 4. For fifth orbit, I am calculating the first 5 or 6 orbits. E5 is equal to minus 13.6 by 5 square, means 13.6 by 25 you should write. Minus 0.54 electron volt. In the same way, we have to calculate minus 13.6 by 6 square, 7 square, 10 square, whatever given, and so on. I want to calculate energy of electron in the last orbit, that is N is equal to infinity. Infinite orbit I want to calculate. What is energy of electron in the infinite orbit means it is equal to minus 13.6 by infinity square. So something by infinity is equal to almost 0. So energy of electron in the last orbit, infinite orbit, is equal to nothing but 0. So that represents here starting energy of electron is equal to minus 13.6, but in the last orbit is equal to 0. So as we are going from the lower to higher orbits, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, energy gradually increases. So in the last orbit, energy of electron is equal to highest. So if you want to remove electron in the first orbit, how much energy we need to supply? When electron is in the first orbit of a hydrogen atom, electron is attracted with the minus 13.6 electron volt. If you want to remove the electron, we should supply plus 13.6 electron volt. So both will be cancelled and energy equal to 0. So electron is not bounded to the nucleus. Electron will be automatically removed. So for example, when electron is in the third orbit, minus 1.51 is there, we should supply plus 1.51 electron volt, then electron can be removed. So when the electron is in the infinite orbit, no need to supply any energy. Electron is not bounded to the nucleus or not attracted by the nucleus. So without supply of energy also, electron easily can leave the orbit. So that is the various orbits how the energy will be. And one more, magnitude of energy, and if you take quantum number and atomic number, we can write E is proportional to Z square by N square. There are various orbits given, we can write like this, E proportional to Z square by N square. That implies E1 by E2 is equal to Z1 by Z2 whole square into N2 by N1 whole square. You should write inversely proportional to quantum number magnitude, but directly proportional to square of the atomic number. And one more, if you write the three formulae, total energy I have given already. Total energy of electron is equal to minus 13.6 into Z square by N square. Similarly, what is the P means formula is equal to minus, it is a double the value, 27.2 into Z square by N square electron volt. And the kinetic energy of electron K is equal to plus 13.6 into Z square by N square electron volt. So remember this three formula carefully: total energy, potential energy, and the kinetic energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit of any atom. If you observe this three formulae carefully, this total energy and kinetic energy both are equal in magnitude except sign. But here, if you compare these two, it is equal 2 times more, 2 times. And if you compare this one, it is equal, these two if you compare also 2 times magnitudes. Sometimes question may be asked, what is the ratio of kinetic energy of electron to the total energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit? What is the ratio of kinetic energy of electron to the total energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit? So here these two will be get cancelled. Only we have minus 1 is there. We should write it is equal to minus 1. So that implies kinetic energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit is equal to minus, it is equal to E, you should write. If you take this E right side, that equal to minus E, you should write. So this is important, ratio of the kinetic energy to total energy. Same model, what is the ratio of the kinetic energy of electron to the potential energy of electron? We should divide these two values. Ke place you have to write minus 13.6 into Z square by N square. If write into N square by minus 27.2 into Z square, N square cancelled, Z square also cancelled, then it is equal to, so 13.6 by 27.2 minus also there, that equal to 1 by 2 times. 1 by 2 times, that implies Ke is equal to minus Pe by 2. Kinetic energy is equal to minus Pe by 2. If we divide P and total energy, that equal to potential energy by total energy of electron. If you divide, check what you will get. So P and total, these two how to divide. Here Z square cancelled, and also N square both are cancelled. Minus also cancelled. 27.2 by 13.6 is equal to 2. that implies P is equal to 2 times of the total energy, or total energy is equal to half of the PE, should write half of PE. So all these are general points. And check last whatever formula we have given, derived formula. Total energy of electron in the nth orbit is equal to minus z square into me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into n square h square. Correct? For example, this equation, if you multiply and divide with the 2 pi square, check what we'll get. So why we have to divide and multiply means we know 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is equal, if you take one constant k. Sometimes in competitive exams they may give the question in terms of k. That's why 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to k. Or if you're squaring on both sides, 1 by, because there epsilon naught square is there. 1 by, I'll write 4 square is equal to 16. Pi square, epsilon naught square is equal to k square. Correct? If you want to get here pi square, here pi not there. So we have to multiply and divide with the pi square. But here 8 only there. Then another, how much required? 2 required. 2 8s are 16. That's why multiply and divide with the 2 pi square. Check what you'll get. Multiplying and dividing by 2 pi square. Multiplying and also dividing by 2 pi square. Now check what you'll get. E is equal to minus 2 pi square z square into me power 4 by, it is equal here, if you multiply with the 2 pi square means 2 8s are 16, that equal to pi square into epsilon naught square n square h square you should write. That is equal to, and observe this in a bracket whatever I have given, 1 by 16 pi square epsilon naught square is equal to k square we can write. So here also 1 by 16 pi square epsilon naught square is equal to k square. Then if you write, it is equal to 2 pi square k square into z square into me power 4 divided by n square h square. So check this. Sometimes which of the following expression is correct regarding the total energy of electron in the nth stationary orbit may be asked. Then in terms of the k, it is a formula. But for PU level not necessary. Remember this one. If it is a hydrogen atom given, no need to put k. So for a hydrogen atom, we can write Z is equal to 1. For Z is equal to 1, E is equal to minus, should put minus 2 pi square into k square into me power 4 by n square h square you should write. Only for hydrogen atom. It is a for a hydrogen atom and it is a for any atom should write. I'll give a simple question, try. Find the total energy of an electron. Find the total energy of an electron in third orbit of third orbit of singly ionized, third orbit of singly ionized helium atom, or already He plus, singly ionized helium atom. That is the question we should calculate. So they asked to find the total energy of electron. So we should put E question mark. So that is only you should calculate what is the total energy of electron, where in third orbit, third orbit. So we should take N is equal to 3. And a singly ionized helium atom, for helium atomic number Z is equal to 2. So take N is equal to 3 and Z is equal to 2. Calculate the total energy of electron. So we know the formula, total energy is equal to minus 13.6 into Z square by N square. Should write Z square by N square. Use the formula and substitute here. Minus 13.6 into Z value is equal to 2 square by N value is equal to third orbit. We should write 3 square. Minus 13.6 by 9 into 4. So in third orbit of hydrogen atom we know 1.51. This value 1.51 into 4 you should multiply. 1.51 into 4, because first orbit of hydrogen atom 13.6, second orbit minus 3.4, and third orbit minus 1.51. 1.51 into 4 minus 6.04 electron volt. So total energy of electron in the third orbit of singly ionized helium atom. And now we'll go next concept, atomic spectra of hydrogen, or atomic spectra or the spectrum of hydrogen, and also we'll calculate wave number by using a Rydberg formula. What is the atomic spectrum of hydrogen, and also what is the Rydberg formula, we'll calculate. So simplest form, I'll take a hydrogen. Hydrogen emission spectrum. So generally, what is the purpose of this hydrogen spectrum or atomic spectrum? Means by studying any spectrum, generally we can understand the structure of the atoms. So internal, what is the arrangement of electrons, and how the atom, how many electrons are there, and what is the structure of the atom. Everything we can learn by using the spectrum, atomic spectra. So generally, if you take solids, and solids means like atoms are closely packed and having a perfect structure also, and solids or liquids, and also density gases, dense gases, the gases which are having a more density. So generally they can form the spectrum of continuous wavelengths. So without any break and without any gap, generally they contains a continuous spectrum. So why they give the spectrum means because of the oscillation of the atoms and molecules. So whenever if you consider one solid or liquid or dense gas, so they are producing the generally continuous spectrums. So because of the interaction or because of the oscillation of the atoms and also molecules. For example, if you consider the gases or vapors or which are having a less density, like rarefied gases, for example, if take, so they are having they are also producing the spectra. But what kind of spectra they may give means if you observe the hydrogen, it is giving a line spectrum. So it doesn't contain the continuous wavelengths. Instead of that, it may have the discrete lines. So for example, if you take a line spectrum of the hydrogen, it contains some of the bright lines against a dark background. So that is called line emission spectrum. For example, if you study the line emission spectrum of hydrogen, so we can understand what is the structure of the hydrogen atom and what is the arrangement of electrons and how they will emit energy and how they will absorb energy, how we can remove the electrons, so or how we can make electron to jump from the lower to higher orbit. So everything we can learn generally. So if take some hydrogen gas in a discharge tube, we have to take one evacuated glass tube or a discharge tube, and we have to fill some of the hydrogen gas. Whenever some electric current is passed through the hydrogen, so because of the passage of electric current, the electrons in the hydrogen atom or hydrogen atoms get excited, and after some time de-excitation takes place. At the time of the de-excitation, it emits some of the light or radiation outside, and that radiation you have to collect, and if you are able to form a spectrum by using a spectrometer or by using a prism, if you form, and if you observe carefully what it contains, the spectrum means so bright discrete lines are present. So discrete lines means having a sharp or discrete values are there, or separate lines are present without any continuous, and that type of spectrum is called as a line emission spectrum. So what type of spectrum hydrogen can give means generally line emission spectrum, when electrons jumps from the higher orbit to lower orbit. For example, whenever we are supplying some amount of light, some radiation to the hydrogen gas, then what will be happened? Like if we take a sodium vapor, or maybe if we take a hydrogen gas, and when we are sending some of the light or maybe electromagnetic radiation, then what happened means the electrons in the hydrogen atom will absorb that amount of energy. But after absorbing, what will be happen? Again, if you are able to form the spectrum, in the spectrum some of the wavelengths are missing. So when we are passing some electric current through the hydrogen gas, we are getting a spectrum, bright lines against dark background. That is called line emission spectrum. But whenever we are sending some of the light to the hydrogen gas, what will be happen? In the spectrum of the hydrogen, some of the wavelengths are missing. So that is called as a line absorption spectrum. So line emission spectrum means we are getting a bright lines against a dark background, and a line absorption means so some of the lines are missing in the spectrum. So hydrogen can give only line emission and line absorption spectrum, line spectrum. But what Rutherford thought, when electron is revolving around the nucleus, so electron continuously emitting energy. That's why if you are able to form the spectrum of the electron, and what type of spectrum we can expect? Continuous spectrum. But after Bohr's model and Balmer series, so it is proved as wrong. Hydrogen not giving a continuous spectrum, it is giving only line spectrum. So generally we can write solids and liquids, solids and liquids, solids comma liquids and dense gases, solids, liquids and dense gases produce continuous spectrum, produce a continuous spectrum due to the oscillations of atoms and molecules, oscillations of atoms and molecules. Whereas rarefied gases means gases with a lesser density or less dense gases, less dense gases can produce a spectrum having discrete wavelengths, that is separate lines. It contains sharp and separate lines, nothing but discrete wavelengths. In case of hydrogen, in case of hydrogen or hydrogen gas, when electric current is passed, in case of hydrogen gas, means the hydrogen gas must be filled in some discharge tube and we have to allow some electric current through it. In case of hydrogen, when electric current is passed in a discharge tube, then it produces a line emission spectrum. It produces a line emission spectrum, which contains or which consists of bright lines, against a dark background, which consists of bright lines against a dark background, Next, one more point. When light is passed through, when light or electromagnetic radiation, light is passed through hydrogen gas, when light is passed through hydrogen gas, it in its spectrum, some of the wavelengths are missing. In its spectrum, some of the wavelengths are missing. Due to the absorption of this light. So due to the absorption of this light, and this spectrum is called line absorption spectrum. Line absorption spectrum. But generally, by studying the line spectrum, so we can understand the characteristics of the hydrogen atoms and what is the structure of atom also we can understand. That's why every line spectrum is the characteristic of the particular element. For example, the line spectrum of one element may not be matched with the other element, similar to the fingerprint. So the line spectrum can also be called as the fingerprint of the particular element. So we can write the line spectrum is the characteristic of the particular element. Line spectrum is the characteristic of the particular element. By using a sodium vapor also we can produce the line absorption spectrum. Whenever white light is passed through the sodium vapor, we are getting two dark lines. So actually in the presence of the electric current passed through the sodium vapor, we got two yellow lines, 590 nanometer and 596 nanometer. When we are passing a white light through the sodium vapor gas, so those two lines are missing in the spectrum, and they are only nothing but in place of the two yellow lines we got two dark lines. So we can write for example, if you study the absorption line spectrum carefully, it contains some of the bright lines like this. In the visible region, if you observe carefully, H alpha, H beta, H gamma, H delta, we are getting the lines like this. And this spectrum first studied by the scientist Balmer, and also given one spectral series called as a Balmer series. For example, if you observe H alpha, when electron jumps from higher orbit, means third orbit to second orbit, we got wavelength approximately 656 nanometer. When same electron in a hydrogen atom jumps from fourth orbit to second orbit, we'll get a H beta line having a wavelength of 486 nanometer nearly. When electron jumps from fifth orbit to the third orbit, then we got H gamma, it is equal to 434 nanometer, and sixth orbit to second orbit, H gamma, it is equal, H alpha, H beta, H gamma, I can write H delta, that equal to approximately 410 nanometer, and later automatically ultraviolet region and remaining regions will be obtained. So that's also Balmer given this concept, Balmer series. And later by studying all this, we can understand the different spectral series also, Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, and so on. So whenever we are supplying some amount of energy to the hydrogen gas, normally all the atoms of the hydrogen at a normal temperature, so they are in the lower states. Whenever we are supplying some amount of energy, so they will absorb this amount of energy, and hydrogen atoms jumps from the lower to higher orbits, and that process can be called as excitation. But within 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds, what will be happen? Again, they jump from the higher orbit to lower orbit. While returning back, so the electrons will emit some amount of energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. And this photon, whatever emitted by electron, when jumps from the higher to lower orbit, called a spectral line. When electron jumps from, for example, it is equal n equal to 1, it is n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 4, and so on you should write. When electron jumps from the second orbit to first orbit, we will get one photon of a particular wavelength. So that can be called one spectral line. When electron jumps from third orbit to second orbit, automatically the photon wavelength changes, energy also changes, and that is another spectral line. So sometimes question may be asked, so hydrogen atom contains how many electrons? Hydrogen means nothing but symbol, you should write only H1, only one electron. Hydrogen atom contains only one electron. But the spectrum, if you observe carefully in the hydrogen atom, not one spectral line. It contains a large number of spectral lines. But hydrogen atom contains only one electron. How it is possible? If take for example, one hydrogen atom, one hydrogen gas I am choosing, and whenever some amount of energy supplied, each and every hydrogen atom get excited. While returning back, for example, beginning one electron jumps from the first orbit to second orbit after absorption of energy. While returning back, how many spectral lines are possible? Electron excited from the first orbit to second orbit. While returning back, how many spectral lines are possible? Only one. In one way, electron can jump from the second orbit to first orbit. So other possibilities are not there. For example, at the time of the excitation, electron not jumps from the first to second. Electron absorbed energy and jumps from the first to third orbit. Correct? While returning back, how many ways electron may return back? How many ways means directly electron may jump from the third to first orbit. Electron may jump from the third to first orbit by giving one spectral line. Electron may jump from the third to second orbit by giving a second spectral line. Electron may jump from the second to first orbit by giving a third spectral line. So check here, when at the time of the de-excitation of electron from the third orbit, what are the number of spectral lines? Total 3. In a 3 ways, electron may return back directly third to first orbit, or third to second, or second to first. Same electron jumps from the first to fourth orbit. While returning back, how many spectral lines are possible? At the time of the de-excitation of electron from fourth to first orbit, how many spectral lines are possible? Question may be asked, this type of important questions. So electron jumps from the first to fourth orbit, but how many ways electron may return back to the first orbit? Second orbit, when electron in the second orbit, only one possibility, directly second to first. When electron is in the third orbit, 3 spectral lines, directly third to first, third to second, second to first. But when the electron is in the fourth orbit, how many spectral lines are possible? One way, first, the electron may jump from the directly fourth to first, or electron may jump from the fourth to second, electron may jump from the fourth to third also. Correct? 3 possibilities. Next, Electron may jump from the third to first. Electron may jump from third to second also. Or electron may jump from the second to first also. Check how many lines? 6 lines are possible. When electron is in the fourth orbit, then 6 ways electron may return back. Same model sometimes. What are the number of spectral lines when electron is in the 10th orbit? In case of the competitive exams, for every question, we cannot draw the diagram and we cannot count like this. Because for one question, there will be only 1 minute. Within 1 minute, we have to read the question, we have to understand, we have to solve, and we have to mark in OMR sheet. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, we can draw and we can understand like this. But when electron jumps from the first orbit to 10th orbit, while de-excitation, how many spectral lines are possible? There is a simple formula. Number of spectral lines, n is equal to n into n minus 1 by 2. You should write simple formula. In place of the n, I will put 10. Check what you will get. That is equal to 10 into 10 minus 1 by 2. You should write. 2 1s are, 2 5s are cancelled, 5 9s are. So 45 spectral lines are possible. Correct. For example, if a fourth orbit given, now we understand by using a diagram. Fourth orbit given, I'll write n is equal to 4 into 4 minus 1 by 2. 2 1s are, 2 2s are cancelled. That equal 2 into 3 is equal to 6. We got 6 spectral lines. That's important. It is about hydrogen spectrum and also line emission spectrum of hydrogen. And what are the spectral lines, we have to understand like this. Correct? Note down this one. So, number of spectral lines. Number of spectral lines. Capital N is equal to number of spectral lines. Capital N is equal to n into n minus 1 by 2. Only note down that formula. N into n minus 1 by 2. Here capital N number of spectral lines and a small n principal quantum number to which orbit electron jumps or while returning back from which orbit electron is returning back. How to understand that one? But all these spectral lines may not have the same wavelength. So different spectral lines may have different wavelengths because they're emitting a different photons or different radiations. And a group of all these spectral lines can be called as spectral series, like a Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, whatever we have. So the group of all the spectral lines can be called as spectral series. So the total number of spectral lines present per unit length can be called as simply wave number. What are the number of spectral lines per unit length means we can call wave number. So we can denote with symbol as nu bar. So reciprocal of the wavelength is equal to wave number simply. So next derivation will go for this one. Here I'll write one more point. When an electron jumps from higher orbit to the lower orbit. Here higher orbit means a higher energy orbit to lower energy orbit, meaning when an electron jumps from higher energy orbit to the lower energy orbit, when an electron jumps from the higher energy orbit to the lower energy orbit, it emits energy. It emits energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation or simply photon. It emits energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. In a bracket, if you want to write a photon, in a photon bracket, which is called a spectral line. Which is called a spectral line. Next, one more point. A group of spectral lines. A group of spectral lines. A group of spectral lines is called spectral series. A group of spectral lines is called spectral series. And one more point, next point. The number of spectral lines spectral lines per unit length. Number of spectral lines per unit length is called wave number. Number of spectral lines per unit length is called wave number. In a bracket, right? New bar, wave number symbol. So write formula, wave number, new bar is equal to 1 by lambda. And if you write a lambda unit, actually SI unit meter, but 1 by lambda means meter inverse. So SI unit of this wave number is meter inverse, right? SI unit of wave number per meter or meter inverse we can write simply. So the number of spectral lines per unit length is called wave number, or we can write a reciprocal of the wavelength of the spectral line is also called wave number. Now we'll derive an expression for wave number of spectral lines or frequency of the spectral line. We'll derive the formula. For this I'll consider, generally we have to derive the formula for a hydrogen atom. First we'll derive general formula and last we'll put Z is equal to 1. We'll get expression for hydrogen atom. So for this I am considering the nucleus of an atom. The central part of the atom is called as a nucleus, where the total positive charge and almost all the mass of the atom concentrated. Now, one orbit I am choosing, N1 orbit I am choosing here. It is a circular orbit with a principal quantum number N1. N1 is equal to principal quantum number, and a corresponding energy of electron in this orbit is equal to, I'll take E1. So E1 is equal to energy of electron in this orbit, and the principal quantum number is equal to N1. Radius equal to R, we can R1 equal to, right. One more higher orbit I'll take. It is a one more orbit I am choosing, a higher orbit having a principal quantum number is equal to N2. It is a higher orbit having a principal quantum number N2, and the energy of electron in this higher orbit is equal to E2. So right, it is equal to N2 and the energy is equal to, right, E2. These are the two orbits. It is a lower energy orbit. It is equal to higher energy orbit. E2 is greater than E1, you should write. For example, an electron of mass M and charge E is revolving in this orbit, higher orbit. Or whenever electron first revolving in this orbit, I am supplying some amount of energy. After absorbing that energy, electron jumps from the lower orbit to higher orbit. So that is called excitation. But after 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds, de-excitation takes place. So that means electron jumps from this higher orbit to the lower orbit like this. At the time of the de-excitation, electron emit some amount of energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation, and how much amount of energy it emits means equal to difference of these two orbits. So equal to difference of these two orbits, same amount of energy was emitted by electron. So that energy E is equal to simply H in nu. But this E is equal to E2 minus E1, you should write. So already I derived the formula for total energy of electron in the nth orbit. I'll consider E1, E2 and I'll subtract both, we'll get the formula. Now check here first. Total energy of electron, already known formula I'm taking here. Total energy of electron in nth stationary orbit. Total energy of electron in nth stationary orbit nth stationary orbit is En is equal to minus z square into me power of 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into n square h square. In the previous class, I derived this question, 5 marks. Derivation, important derivation given. I have used this formula. It is general formula. But whenever I want to consider lower orbit n1, in place of n, what you should write? n1. And energy E place you should write? E1 you should write. Now I'll go for right here. For E is equal to E1, I'll take n is equal to n1. So just modify above formula. Therefore, E1 is equal to minus z square into me power of 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into n1 square into h square. Equation 1. Observe carefully. Only two letters I modified. N place I have written n1 and E place I have written e1. Similarly, for a higher orbit, E is equal to e2 and n is equal to right n2, higher orbit. Same above formula, just modify by replacing the two letters. Therefore, e2 is equal to minus z square into me power 4 divided by 8 epsilon naught square into n2 square into h square. So it is equal to equation 2. When electron jumps from this higher orbit to lower orbit, we got energy. Therefore, subtract both the letter equations. E is equal to E2 minus E1. When electron jumps from higher orbit to lower orbit, energy emitted in the form of electromagnetic radiation. Therefore, energy released E is equal to E2 minus E1. Substitute here values. Whatever first and second equation given, right here. E2 is equal to minus z square into me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into n2 square into h square minus of first equation minus z square into me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into n1 square into h square. Here it is equal to E. Or in place of the E, your choice. Right? E is equal to h nu also we can write. E is equal to Planck's constant into frequency of the spectral line. If any common is there, take the terms common. H nu is equal to z square me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into h square common. Correct? All the letters except n1 and n2 squares remaining all are common only. Right in bracket I'll write minus 1 by n2 square minus of plus 1 by n1 square. If we take h also right side, nu is equal to, nu means the frequency of the spectral line. Nu is equal to z square me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into h square is equal to h cube into first I'll write a positive value, next I'll write negative value. First I'm writing a 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. It is nothing but a frequency of the spectral line. But we know nu is equal to c by lambda. Na? Frequency is equal to speed of the light by wavelength of the light. In place of the nu, I'll write c by lambda. So therefore, c by lambda is equal to z square me power 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into h cube into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Take this c right side. If you take a c also right side means 1 by lambda. What is a 1 by lambda called? Wave number. Reciprocal of the wavelength is nothing but called wave number. Therefore, 1 by lambda is equal to z square into me power of 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into ch cube, here c also written right side, into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. In this formula, Z is not a constant variable, but mass of electron, charge of electron, epsilon naught, velocity of light, Planck's constant, all are constants only. I'll write all the constants here. me power of 4 by 8 epsilon naught square into ch cube, all are constants. All the constants place I'll put one more constant, so which is called a capital R. So this capital R is called a Rydberg constant. Can you write this one as Rydberg constant? So which is called a Rydberg constant. And if you substitute all the values and if you calculate here, we'll get one value 1.097 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter or meter inverse, or without 7 you may write a full value also, 1096 something also you may write, or if you round off the value 1.097 into 10 to the power of 7 per meter, that is a Rydberg constant. So in this formula, if you substitute that the total values place R, check what you will get. Therefore 1 by lambda is equal to z square as it is, you should write, correct? The z square extra is there, remaining all R should write, z square into R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So this one nothing but 1 by lambda is also called as nu bar. 1 by lambda is also called reciprocal of the wavelength, is also called wave number. So the number of spectral lines present per unit length or reciprocal of this wavelength of the spectral line is also called wave number. Therefore 1 by lambda is equal to z square R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square, where n1 is equal to principal quantum number of the lower orbit and n2 is equal to principal quantum number of the higher orbit, and z atomic number or Rydberg constant. For example, if it is a hydrogen atom asked, then put z is equal to 1. For a hydrogen atom, we can put atomic number z is equal to 1. Therefore, nu bar is equal to 1 by lambda, which is equal to R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square should write. Wave number of the spectral lines are 1 by lambda is equal to R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. It is one of the important formula. This expression is important for 5 marks. For a final exam, 5 marks important. And in this chapter, numericals also very important based on this formula. Problems we can solve by using this formula. In a PU exam as well as in a competitive exams also, this formula very useful for solving numericals. So by using this whole, if you want to write the particularly frequency formula, here we can write, for example, 1 by lambda, I'll write here, from the formula 1 by lambda is equal to z square R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. In the place of the lambda, if you write c by nu, I'll take lambda is equal to c by nu. I'll write it is equal to 1 by lambda is equal to c by nu. Nu is equal to c by lambda, or lambda is equal to c by nu. That equal to z square R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Take nu to the numerator and c right side. nu is equal to z square rc into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. It is a formula for frequency of spectral lines. Frequency of spectral line. Nu is equal to z square rc into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. n1 into both are principal quantum number of the lower and higher orbits. C, speed of the light. Already we know 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. R, Rydberg constant. Z, atomic number of the given atom. And a new frequency. So practice this derivations carefully. In tomorrow class, we'll discuss based on this Rydberg formula, how we can explain the spectral series of hydrogen atom like Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, and also Brackett and Pfund series. And after completion of the spectral series, we'll draw energy level diagram. And how to draw energy level diagram also important for POC. And later we'll discuss how de Broglie explained Bohr's second postulate. So these concepts are there. Maximum Monday and Tuesday, I'll complete this theory part of the chapter. Next we'll go for numericals. Okay, thank you.